From our beautiful set in the capital of Spain, Madrid, La Fuente de las Cibeles behind us, the spot for the greatest celebrations in the history of Real Madrid. We anticipate the Clásico with LaLiga Insiders alongside Rodrigo Faez, which is so weird to say that and look you in the eye because you are right here in person. Yeah. And it's a great pleasure to be alongside you. Thank you for welcoming us in your city.
Well, welcome home. This is what Madridistas, all the people here in Madrid say, because here you have Cibeles Fountain, and I think in less than half of a kilometer, you have the Neptuno Fountain, which is
right
where Atletico Madrid supporters celebrate every kind of titles that they win. So welcome to our home Madrid, and my God, this production is amazing, man.
It's amazing. The weather is great. Yeah. You can feel it in the atmosphere.
Yeah, sure.
That the great game on Sunday on ESPN Deportes, ESPN Plus is just around the corner. El Clásico, Real Madrid, Barcelona. Let's update what's been going on with both teams as of recent. Both coming after draws and Champions League play. But let's start with Barcelona, because it is obviously a critical situation. If they don't make it to the round of 16 in the UEFA Champions League, how's morale right now? How do you feel morale is right now inside the club?
I think they need to improve that morale, because when the whistle appeared at the end of the game against Inter de Milan, all the people from Barca, all the supporters and all the players were like, oh my God, what have we done? In this year, that they got the illusion back thanks to all the signings that they got in the summer window transfer, and suddenly in less than 2 months they're almost out of the Champions League competition, and now they're going to face Real Madrid with this kind of injuries that they have, because Koundé looks like he's going to travel to Madrid, but looks like he's still not in shape. And then you're not going to have Christensen, you're not going to have so many good players that Barca need at this moment.
Yeah.
The moral of Barca,
Bellerín, Araujo.
Yeah, Bellerín, Araujo and all these guys. I mean, the moral is something that Barca needs to improve. And this is not something that belongs exclusively to Real Madrid, because I remember, when Messi, Xavi was playing, and when, for example, Iniesta, they were at their peak of the form. I remember all those players, they were winners.
Yeah.
And suddenly last night against Inter de Milan, I realized that Barca still has to improve that, because they're good players and they're going to be massive players worldwide, but they still have to work a little bit on that psychological work, because they are really young and they don't have that personality or that character the Barca player need to be at that level.
See, I was very surprised, not exactly with what Xavi said during the press conference, but because how he said it. He sounded obviously very disappointed, but even during his speech, Barca is still alive in Champions League. I know they need a miracle to make it to the next round, but Xavi was sounding like a defeated man, and that's not the spirit you want leading up to one of the biggest games of the season. How do you think that translates to the dressing room and the players?
If you breathe, you're alive. I mean, that's the main thing that you have to keep in mind. And I'm not going to talk about Xavi. If you listen to post-game words of Busquets, I heard Busquets saying this is something that is going to affect us for Sunday's game against Real Madrid. And this is why Busquets is saying that? Yeah. Busquets is one of the captains of Barcelona, and you don't need to say that, and you don't need to send that message to neither the crowd nor the players. And that's something that when you have Pedri, for example, which is 19 years old, you have Ansu Fati, which is 19 years old, you got Gavi, which is 19 years old, or 18 years old. This is something that is not the right message that you have to send out from Xavi or from Busquets, because if you send that message out, you're proving that you have problem and you are struggling in these days previous to face Real Madrid, and that is when Real Madrid is gonna smell some kind of blood.
Oh yeah.
And they're gonna say, I'm gonna kill them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of finger pointing right now.
Sure.
Right? At the manager, at the, I was gonna say old, but let's call them experienced players, right? At the board of directors, specifically at the president.
Yeah.
Where's your finger pointing at right now? And I ask you this question because I read in the press, I was listening to the media this morning, Thursday, here in Madrid, And it feels like Xavi's job might be in danger in case there's like a catastrophic result at Santiago Bernabeu on Sunday. Who you pointing the finger to?
I will point Laporta because he's the main guy in charge of Barcelona. First of all, he made a great effort to sign Rafinha, to keep Dembele, and all the signings that we've seen, like Koundé, Araujo's renewal. And I think that is a great job. Yeah, Lewandowski, for example. I mean, they got so many signings in this last summer that I think I will give credit to Laporta. But at the same time, he said, if he didn't say that directly, I know that all the people around him said so. Like, okay, we're gonna keep our Lucien back and we're gonna be up there again. And when you say that and you send that message to the people, and you know that maybe your team is not already ready for that level, you're making a mistake. And first of all, you have a coach you don't cope with and you don't trust in.
Yeah, they don't have the greatest relationship, right?
Yeah, well, I think they could have that great relationship, but he doesn't really trust in Xavi because he believes that Xavi has still to make a little bit, like a step behind Barca to prove that he's still fit for Barca. But now you have Xavi, now you have to cope with him, and you have to maintain him. Doesn't really matter what happens to the team. And then is when you have to make the step behind to say, okay, I'm going to trust in Xavi, I'm going to make him to complete his contract, and I'm going to try to make him a little bit more confident, because I don't really see Xavi that self-confidence that he was before.
Yeah, I agree. That's exactly what we heard at that press conference. Now, here's the contradiction, right?
Yeah.
Because, and this is how important Champions League is for these clubs. This is a historically great start of the season in La Liga for Barcelona.
Yeah.
They're doing great. But if you do not do well in Champions League, it's not only that morale is not going to be great, but financially it was paramount that Barcelona made it not only past group stage, to made it at least to the quarterfinals, so that all this leverage that they executed to be financially clear to start the season, that's in jeopardy now. And that has now translated to the emotions of the club before the most important league game of the season. Do you feel it that way too?
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think Barca will struggle again with those levers that they had in this summer, because I mean they didn't have money and they had to ask for that money first of all. So they got those signings, but then that money you have to give it back to the guys that or the banks or whatever company gave it to you. So that's why first of all they're going to struggle on the financial side, and then they're going to struggle a lot if they don't win, or at least they don't draw against Real Madrid, because I know Barca and I know this victimism that they are through now at the moment. So that's why they need a win, or at least a good game with a good image, with at least one draw against Real Madrid, because if not, they're gonna become in a crisis that maybe could conditionate the rest of the season, and for Barca that would be lethal.
Yeah, they gotta look competitive.
Yeah, sure,
at the least.
Sure.
They gotta look competitive. Now let's move on to Real Madrid, because they also came home with a draw, which is for them is not about results, especially after how the game evolved and that heroic goal from Rudiger, who we'll speak of a little bit later on this very same show. But speaking of Real Madrid, are they clearly favorites over Barcelona on Sunday? Because that's the feeling here in the city.
At this moment, they are definitely. I know that Real Madrid, they don't are maybe they are in the best point of the season, because after the FIFA break, they are not the same that they were before. Because if you see Tchouaméni game against Shakhtar Donetsk, it's like, okay, you've changed. He's not the same player than before. If you see how Benzema is after the injury he was through, he's not the same player than before. And I know that they still need time to be at the peak of the form, but they're, literally much better than Barca at the moment. Not moral only because of the sporting side, because they are like a block. They attack together, they defend together, and I know that they are now the main contenders to win La Liga by the end of the season. But they need to win Barca to say, okay, we are the main favorites, and we're gonna prove that we are the main favorites. Because if you remember, Mauri, last season, in the second leg of the season, in the last Clásico. I remember all the people from Real Madrid like, okay, we're gonna win Barca because they are not in the best moment of the season, and then Barca won 0-4 or 1-4, I don't remember. But Barca scored 4 goals at Santiago Bernabeu, and they have that pride injured. Like, okay, we have to give it back to Barca now that they are not the best moment of La Liga.
Yeah, and I think Carlo Ancelotti is exactly keeping that in the back of his brain, and they're probably trying to install that in his players. And is that the case? Why we have seen so many rotations within the lineup, right? The midfield line, 3 players constantly changing. When he didn't have Benzema, he tried different things. Even with the back line in Poland against Shakhtar, tried different things. Who do you visualize will start for Real Madrid considering this? Is Thibaut Courtois ready to start? And can Karim Benzema give you 90 minutes at this game after his injury?
Well, first of all, what we have on Courtois, the news that we have on the Belgian goalie, is that it depends on how he wakes up on Friday and on Saturday morning, because he's suffering of sciatica, which is a very painful injury at the back.
I've had it. It sucks.
Oh, really?
It's bad, dude. Yeah.
Really?
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
It doesn't have to do with age. Different things.
Do you earn the same salary of Courtois too? No.
Not currently.
Okay. Well, it depends on that, so that's why we have to wait till the weekend to see if Courtois is going to be fit for that game. He's going to try to make an effort because Carlo Ancelotti wants him to be as a starter. And then Benzema, he's completely recovered. He's going to play. But if he, for example, he wouldn't play, imagine in that case that Benzema, whatever reason, he won't play, imagine. I think Rodrigo will be the main striker, and maybe Ancelotti would bet for Valverde in the right side. I think that's the idea if Benzema is not fit, but Benzema is going to play, at least at this moment of this recording. So,
Tchouaméni, Kroos, Modric.
The rest is the same.
The rest is the same.
I mean, I know how Ancelotti is, that he doesn't really want to rotate.
Yeah.
So that's why he's going to say, okay, I've rotated a little bit more than last season in this La Liga beginning. Now I'm not going to rotate because I don't want to rotate in these big games where Real Madrid are trying to struggle a little bit more against Barcelona. He doesn't want to fail, and he wants to win Barcelona, yes or yes.
He was very clear regarding Carlo Ancelotti. The moment Real Madrid conceded against Shakhtar here in Madrid, he was very upset. And you don't get to see Carlo Ancelotti showing his emotions like he did, right? And then after the game, because he wanted to win to secure that first place in their group, and then don't even have to think about the next 2 games, but during the press conference, he was not upset, but he was not always the relaxed Carlo Ancelotti. Do you believe he's trying to send a message to his players because of what you just said, what happened the last time they played Barcelona here at Santiago Bernabeu?
Definitely. Ancelotti knows perfectly.
He's playing mind games.
Yeah, sure. That's the thing on Ancelotti. He knows perfectly how Real Madrid works and how the environment of Real Madrid is. If you go on the street in Madrid, now you're here, you will try, sure, because all the people would say, okay, Real Madrid is going to win Barcelona because they're not able to win in 2 games Inter de Milan. So that's why we're going to win. By far, we're going to try to get and score maybe 3-4 goals, and we're going to celebrate it here in Cibeles. But Ancelotti knows this, and that's why he's like, okay, keep calm. You gotta play. You gotta be focused on the game, and then you gotta be, like a competitive side against Barcelona, because Barcelona doesn't really matter what happened in Champions League. They have a great and massive side. So that's why Ancelotti say, okay, they got Pedri, they got Lewandowski, they got Rafinha, they got Dembele, they got so many great players. So that's why the self-confidence that Real Madrid had last season is not gonna have it here now the moment. So that they're gonna face this game as it were the last game of the season.
All right, let's move on to our Insiders segment here in La Liga. Again, from this amazing spot in Madrid. Thank you so much for having us. I know you managed to put all of this together. Rodri's even paying for that. His salary does accumulate to the one of Thibaut Courtois. I will ask you about both teams, and I know you have answers for both teams. So let's start with Barcelona and the big question regarding Jules Koundé. Is he going to be able to play on Sunday?
What we know and what Moy Llorens, our Barcelona correspondent, says is that he's going to travel to Madrid because now he's able to.
Okay, that's step number
train.
one.
Yeah, I know. I know. I mean, and Barca needs Koundé because he's so necessary now at the moment for Barca defense. That he's going to travel, he's going to be able to make a couple of training sessions. But the thing is that we don't really know he's going to start against Real Madrid because he does have a lack of competitive minutes. So that's why maybe Xavi, he might think about this in the previous moments before the Clásico, and he has to make a choice. For me, I think he will not start because I know that he's going to face Vinicius, and Vinicius is in top shape. And if you don't have that rhythm, maybe you're going to struggle a little bit. And maybe if you take that risk, maybe Xavi will be like, okay, we're going to secure with Eric or whoever teammate, and let's see if in the second half you can have the chance.
Yeah, it might be too late because that Barca backline has been an absolute disaster after those very, very heavy injuries from the three players that we mentioned earlier on the segment. Let's go to Real Madrid.
Yeah.
And when I came here to Madrid, I was ready just to talk about El Clásico, but I feel like I have to ask you about Kylian Mbappe. Now that it's known that his relationship with Paris Saint-Germain is again being very tense, not great, is the door still open for Kylian Mbappe and make the move here to La Liga?
1 year ago, I thought it was easier to have here in Cibeles Mbappe rather than you, first of all. But
wow,
finally,
that's really hurtful, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
By the way.
You didn't want to come here.
Where's Mbappe and where am I?
Yeah, you are here.
There you go.
Because you have a word. Mbappe doesn't. No, the thing is that we all know that Mbappe wants to leave PSG due to those promises that PSG made in the summer for that renewal, and he understands that PSG failed in that sense. So that's why he wants to leave. But he at the same time knows that it's going to be very difficult to leave because of the transfer fee that PSG is going to ask for to any kind of team that could be up to that signing. Real Madrid doesn't want Mbappe at this moment. Doesn't want Mbappe in this next winter transfer window. Maybe in summer, I wouldn't dismiss, Real Madrid talking again to Mbappe, because I know the Real Madrid, at least one guy from Real Madrid board, has been in talks, during these past months to Mbappe and Torres.
Yeah.
So that's why I still have like that little space of the door open for Mbappe to come to Real Madrid. But as I was told, at the Real Madrid style, not at the way that Mbappe wanted to come to Real Madrid.
Of course. Give me a short answer.
Yeah.
Short answer. Do you believe Real Madrid fans would welcome Kylian Mbappe with open arms after he said no the first time he was offered to come here?
This is a difficult one, but I would say that if you ask any Real Madrid fans in the street, they would say at the very beginning, they would say no, but then they will say yes.
¿Recibirías bien a Mbappé si llega? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he said yes.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Let's talk about Rudiger. Because he played hero, right? 93rd minute header to get that point. But it feels like when you make a move to a club like Real Madrid, they say like one of the toughest things is to fit in that dressing room.
Yeah.
How does that goal is helping Rudiger make his way into that dressing room?
My sources in the Real Madrid locker room tell me that he's been playing here for ages.
Wow.
And they even call him Antoñito because his nickname is Antonio Rudiger.
Yeah.
And Antonio is a Spanish name. So that's why here they call him Antoñito. What happened to you? He was like bleeding, all the face down.
Scarface, dude.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like Frankenstein at the very beginning of the
23 stitches, right?
Yeah, man, that was crazy. But in those images that social network department of Real Madrid show on his Twitter account, it proved that Real Madrid now, more than a team, they're like a bunch of friends, and that friendship, that unity is that makes Real Madrid even better for these kind of big games like Sunday's Clásico.
Yeah, and it's the complete opposite of Barcelona.
Yeah.
The gap between the older players and the younger players, the gap is huge, and you do not see that gap with Real Madrid. I got here on Wednesday, right? I knew you went to El Metropolitano to see Atlético de Madrid in a very VIP experience. Go check Rodrigo's social media. He has a great clip. Thank you for the invitation. I'm sorry I could not join you. I went anyway. I paid my own ticket. It was a good game. It was a good game, but here's probably the biggest story. It has to do with the relationship between Joao Felix and Diego Simeone. I was in the cheaper seats, right?
Yeah.
So I was watching across the pitch, and I saw Joao Felix warming up. I thought, he's gonna play in this game. They need to win this game, and he didn't. He even threw his beanie away.
Yeah.
How's the relationship? Is this an issue right now for Atlético de Madrid and Simeone?
Not for Atlético de Madrid, not for Cholo Simeone. Both, they understand that Joao Felix is still really young, and he's one of the most talented players of Real.
Wait, that's probably the police with Moisés Llorens somehow.
Yeah. Maybe they're taking
It
Joao
was not
Felix.
him. It was not him.
Now, Atlético de Madrid and Simeone, they understand that Joao Felix is one of the most talented players, maybe with Griezmann and Morata of the team. But they understand at the same time that Joao Felix needs to make, one step ahead, because when he makes that step ahead, it's like he needs more regularity.
Yeah.
He's not that constant that Atlético de Madrid needs for Joao Felix. So that's why, for example, before the international break, he played 7 games as a starter out of 8. And now suddenly he disappeared. He's not even a starter for Portugal national team. This is something that we have to keep in mind. And that's why Simeone is like, why should I have Joao Felix as a starter if he doesn't even play for Portugal national team? And he needs to make that step ahead and say, okay, I'm here, I'm the best player of this team, and I'm going to make it, for all the season long, not only for 1, 2, or maybe 3 games. He needs more.
He has played 29 minutes in the past 4 games.
Wow.
He hasn't scored yet in this season. And it is a problem, as you said, more for Joao Felix than Atlético de Madrid. All right, before we wrap things up, let's go. You want to see what's coming up?
Wow.
This is a great quote by Toni Kroos to do with his first as a Real Madrid player playing in El Clásico. This is extra time on LaLiga Insiders. Here's the quote. He said, I won 3-1. It was my first great day in Madrid, and I know the importance of this game, both and defense. You realize it the day before, in the bus on our way to the stadium, and of course in our dressing room. Who would have said that Toni Kroos would become such an important player, already part of the history of this team?
I mean, this is something really outstanding for Real Madrid, because they paid only 25 million euros for him. And even Guardiola, when he was Bayern Munich coach, he let him go. And this is something so weird for Real Madrid. Now he's a legend for Real Madrid. Now he's one of the leaders of that locker room. And now he's still struggling and thinking about his future, because we know that his contract ends by the end of this season. And we still doesn't really know. I mean, we all don't know what he's going to be up to. And he's still thinking about the future, because he has Real Madrid feeling so deep inside that he doesn't want to hurt Real Madrid, and he doesn't want to renew for 1 year. Like, okay, I want to be important in this team, but I don't want to be like the rest of the veterans. They can't only earn money. He wants to be useful for Real Madrid. So that's why I understand that he's a legend, and whatever he makes, everyone will say, okay, if he stay, we're gonna applaud, and if you leave, we're gonna give you an outstanding ovation.
A couple of years ago, he even said that if it was up to him, he would retire a Real Madrid player. He doesn't want to go to any other league that might pay him a lot of money, but he lives for that competitive feeling that he completely has shown here at his 8 years already at Real Madrid. This is it for us, again, from this beautiful location in Madrid, La Plaza, La Fuente de las Cibeles. Rodrigo Faez, Mauricio Pedroza. We'll see you next time.